Hey everyone, MTash here, and if you want to do 2 or even 3 times more damage in the first Descendant, this video is for you, because the mods on the gun are exceptionally important, the passives on the gun are very important, but these DPS numbers are completely wrong, and the sheet DPS, the number that it says here, is not your actual DPS. There are mods in the game that will essentially double your damage, but it doesn't say it's even changed it whatsoever. The game is dumb, and I'm here to try and help you out. I want to explain the best mods and the best passives to get on your gun. So let me explain a couple things really quickly. Number 1, the firearm attack, or the base damage of the gun, is exceptionally important, because everything is scaling off of your firearm attack. The RPM, the magazine size, all of these things matter as well, because the multiplication of your firearm damage, your elemental damage, and your RPM is the majority of your DPS. So, even though this gun has a higher firearm attack of 221, this one here has a fire attack percentage bonus, and it's also got a bigger toxic attack. So when you extrapolate it out, on the RPM and the firearm attack, this one, who's lower level, is doing more damage than this one. Gold elemental damage mods are extremely good. Firearm attack is very, very good. There's multiple things that are going to boost up your damage, but some things are absolute bait. I want to show you in the mods. I want to explain this because unless you see it for yourself, you might not even realize this is happening. So I'm going to take off these different mods, and I want to showcase a few different key things. So number 1, my damage, or my DPS, is 73,000 damage. And if I was to equip this mod that gives me 16% weak point damage, and my critical hit rate is also increasing, that brings me up 63 DPS. But that is absolutely a lie. That is not correct. If I'm hitting a weak point, I'm actually going to be doing, 73,000 times 16%, essentially. Because the weak point damage is a multiplier on that number, but it doesn't show in the sheet DPS. The same way that crit rate and crit damage, it doesn't actually show you effectively what changes in your overall damage. But it does. And so there's certain mods in here that are doing a lot for your DPS, but it's not actually showing it. It's so stupid. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't using some of the best mods in the game. If you look at chill enhancement, this is not boosting up my current chill damage. It is literally adding a chill damage component to the gun based on 8% of my firearm attack. The higher my firearm attack, the more chill attack I'm getting on here. So if we're looking and doing the math here, I'm essentially getting, 600 chill attack on every single bullet. That is a huge overall damage increase, right? And so if I save this, I put this on here, my number hasn't changed at all, but I will absolutely be doing more damage. And to build off of this, just to help you kind of understand this and visualize it yourself, when you also make that mod stronger, it ramps up very, very quickly. And this is the thing that people don't realize is it's only 8% now, but I'm going to start getting 9% more damage here, and I'm going to ascend it. And it's going to increase the capacity costs, but it's also going to ramp up how much you get per level. So now we're jumping up to 10.2. We do it again. We're going to be at 11.6. Now we're getting 1.4% per level. This is starting to scale up and get even more valuable per level. So when you start getting into the, upper ranges, all of a sudden, I'm getting 25, 30% more of this damage tacked onto the gun. And when you start multiplying that by the RPM, we're not getting 10% more damage. We're getting 20,000 damage per second, 40,000 damage per second, right? You have to extrapolate out. We're talking about one bullet doing hundreds more damage. Well, we're sending out thousands of bullets over the course of a boss fight. So these little numbers matter way more than you think. And I want to show you kind of in the gun, help you understand this and visualize it yourself. So elemental damage is very good. If you're fighting a boss that's weak to an element, adding this on is going to be very, very good. But it's also going to just boost up the base damage of your gun. And in every situation, it's still going to be good. So minimum, you're going to want to have most likely one elemental thing on your gun. But there's one more thing that I want to show you that I think is much more important. So number 1 or number 2, depending how you want to look at it, is the rifling reinforcement or fire rate up. So rifling reinforcement is just bringing up the base firearm damage. And again, everything is scaling off of this. So the higher this number goes, the more chill damage you get, the more DPS you get, because that's the base amount. So this is a priority, and you're going to notice that the capacity is going up pretty rapidly. This is already taking up 14% of my module capacity. And if I level it up, it's going to go all the way to 36% of my it's going to be 16 out of my 45 module capacity. So you can't just equip 15 different mods and call it a day, because that's what some people are doing. You're going to need 2 or 3 mods, and you're going to want to max it out, because it's going to give you the most bang for your buck, and you're going to do way more damage because of it. And as you start getting mastery ranks, you can start sneaking in and getting a few different things in. But if I start equipping some of the priority mods that are going to give me damage, I'm going to run out of resources and room on the gun very, very quickly. Like even right now, I can't add on chill enhancement because I've thrown in some other mods that are quite expensive, right? And so you really need to be picking and choosing what you're doing. And I want to show you the keys. In my opinion, this is essentially the starting point. Either chill or toxic or fire, some elemental thing. But these two need to be maxed out on your weapon, or else it's going to be terrible. And again, this is going to be taking up a very large chunk of your module capacity. And the element that's on it is also going to be taking up a very large amount of your module capacity. Once these are all maxed out, you're only going to have a sliver of room at best on these weapons. So after this, you know, you can't really do much more than this until you get into the very, very, very end game and you start crafting things, and you can actually start getting these energy capacitors. This opens some other doors down the road. But it's not easy to do this. It's not easy to get these. It's going to take you a long time to get these. But this is going to bring your max capacity up tremendously. And all of a sudden, you can throw in crit rate and crit damage and some of these other things. But right now, you can't get enough crit rate and crit damage to make it like a viable option, for the most part. Your weapon base amounts need to be as high as humanly possible in the early game, and until you can start doing this, before you start getting specialized things like weak point hits or crit rate. Because you have to remember that a critical hit is only valuable if the base amount is good. And the higher the base amount, those random, critical hits that you get only 10% of the time, they're still going to be more valuable, right? So, for the most part, in the early game, this is the main setup that you want to do. It is going to be the main way to up your damage, and you're going to be going and doing, instead of 50 or 60,000 damage, you're going to be doing hundreds of thousands of damage. And I'm going to be focusing in, and I'm going to be maxing these ones out right away. That's my goal today, is I'm just going to farm and level these up. And from there, if I have any room left over, which I hardly will have any room, I might be able to slot one more thing in. But that's kind of like the key to doing DPS in this game. The same thing goes with your character. On your Descendants, the same rules apply. Things that you're leveling up are going to get more value exponentially. So something like Technician in the first few levels is a tiny little skill power boost, but by the time it's maxed out, you're getting 50% more skill power. Your abilities are doing 50% more damage, right? And so if you can also slot it into a discounted slot like this one, instead of this being 16 capacity, it's only 8 capacity. So you want to look for mods that you can use and abuse and get a lot of value out of, so that your damage is really high up, but you can still slot in other mods. You have a little bit more flexibility with your characters, I would say, especially if you use the free catalyst you get on your favorite character. The reason I use it on Bunny is I plan on using her to farm for a very, very, very long time. But she has a lot of damage because of this maxed out mod. But if you try to max out everything and do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there, you're going to run out of capacity very, very quickly. Again, you want to focus on the things that are going to ramp up and be more valuable. Nimble Fingers getting the cooldown reduction is going to get better if I have it maxed out. It's good just throwing it on at level 1, but some of these other little things that are adding, you know, defenses or whatever it might be, you have to really start considering things until you're much later in the game. Because the amount of skill points you have, the capacity is going to go up when you start using the catalysts. So if you don't know what that is, you can actually reset the level of your characters, and you can apply these catalysts, and it's going to be an end game thing. But a crystallization catalyst resets your character level, and it'll change one of those slots, and it'll change the element on it. So what that means is I can go into my character, so many menus. I can go into my character, I can look at some of these mods that are really valuable that I want to level up, like skill expansion, and I can add a slot that will reduce this, it's called rutile, socket type. I could max this thing out, it would be like, 15, 16 cost, but it's gonna half it. And so you can slot in exceptionally strong mods at a fraction of their cost, but you have to re-level the character from 1 to 40. This is an endgame thing, but these systems, again, are going to evolve over time, and the mods that are best for you are going to evolve over time, because eventually, some of these crazy mods that might be in here, you can hypothetically, I could change the socket of this, and I can start slotting in some of these other crazy mods and use them. Even though they're exceptionally expensive right now, down the road, they're going to be a viable build option. So your character's damage is going to go 2 or 3 times higher. If you want to do that right now, here's a quick way. Do skill power, do cooldowns, whatever is going to be boosting your skills. As long as you're staying alive, these things are going to be great for you. But your character is going to do 10 times more damage a month or so from now when we start getting those catalysts. So I just wanted to kind of shout that out now. Do some of this stuff, the skill power, cooldowns, anything that's giving you more effect range so you can just use one, grenade and blow everything up. Those are things I prioritize. And then if you want to do some stuff to extend the duration, that's what I would highly recommend you do. And another quick shout out, if you didn't know this already, any of these like modules, so there's like claws, there's one for your grappling hook, leveling these up gives you module capacity. It doesn't increase the cost of this, it gives you more capacity. So this can be a quick way to sneak in another module or level up another module and get more value out of it, even though you think you might be close to the cap. So that's it for me. I don't have much more to say. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.